Is it indeed K-shaped or not? I will start with this very basic question.
No, I think, thank you, Siddharth, for having me on the show. No, I think that I have looked at the narrative and the story for the last several years, last actually couple of years post-pandemic. I don't think it's a K-shaped recovery. And I think the people are also saying all sorts of alphabet V, K, L. I don't want to get into the alphabet debate, but I strongly believe it's not a K-shaped recovery at all.
Okay, why do you say it is not a K-shaped recovery? Take us through different parts and we'll try and do that one by one of your report and your pretty categorical statement that it is not a K-shaped recovery.
Yes. See, Siddharth, I think I'll go by the discussion in two parts. I think Indian labor market has some characteristics of also being informal in nature, even though there has been a correction in the informality in the last several years, thanks to the formalization initiatives of the government. But the recent PLFS survey report also shows that around 40% of the labor force is still informal. So I'm going by the PLFS report. So taking that into account, I think the analysis, if any analysis has to be done on this K-shaped recovery, it has to take into account both the formal and the informal labor force, because the contention of the critics has been particularly on this informal sector. Now, first, let us look into the informal labor force, because that is the point of criticism by many authors and analysts. The first thing which we have done is that I think if we look into one of our work which we have done, I think close to 10% of the population today corners 65% of India's private final consumption expenditure. This is the data which you culled from the World Bank definition of poor. Now, what we did is that we tried to estimate, based on the recent initiatives of the government is providing free food, shelter, then medical initiatives to the bottom of the pyramid. We found out that in the last 3 years, because of these efforts, and these things actually are a little bit difficult to measure because you don't have any measure in the public domain. We found out the share of this top 10%, or maybe a little below that, has actually declined from 65% of the overall consumption to around 60.5, or you can take it as 60%. So that means there has been a 5% decline in consumption, which is 8.2 trillion if you take the overall private final consumption expenditure into account. Now, we did also a dipstick analysis to see that if all these initiatives are continued, say, for the next 4 to 5 years, and the government has clearly said that they're going to continue with the free food initiative for the next 5 years, then we found out in the next 7 years, by 2030, another 16.2 trillion could move from the upper echelons to the bottom echelons. So if this if that number is achieved, by 2030, we'll have a remarkable feature of 50% of the consumption of the country will be contributed by 90% of the population, which was 65% a decade back. So I think a movement of around more than 10% in overall final consumption expenditure from the upper half to the bottom half, even as India expands its overall pie, I think is something which you need to take cognizance and need to take proud of also.
If you like the video, do like, comment, share and subscribe.